So you ready to go? So right when you start up, you want to inspect the thing. Make sure that the white nipple is on the back. If you don't have that, this machine is going to be worthless to you. So you have to ensure that that's there. That is how you're going to bleed the oxygen from the D tank to the back of the machine. There's no setting inside the ventilator that controls the FiO2. It's purely what's being bled from the D tank. Okay.
So the D tank, then we adjust the volume needed based on percentages on the amount of liters per minute.
Correct.
And we do that calculation.
Correct.
Okay.
So this cord, if you need a spare one, I just pop them off the non-rebreather, the same exact cord.
Copy that.
So circuit-wise setup, we have the 50-yard blue correlated tubing, which you'll just cut the same size. This is the length that I keep. You'll find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, but I just continue it going.
Where do we make the cuts?
You want to cut it at the center of the smooth section.
Using the standard shears cut, okay?
So standard shears is okay. So the first thing up the bat is going to be your filter. It's going to be individually wrapped.
Okay.
One is larger than the other, so there's only one way to put it onto the tubing. So it's going to go on in that fashion. There's only one way to put this onto here. The small diameter will not fit onto here.
Right.
So that's your filter. So if you have a closed circuit, example of ET tube or trach, you're always going to put the exhaust valve on. It doesn't matter, this comes individually wrapped as well. It doesn't matter if it is put on this way or it's put on this way, the exhaust valve works exactly the same. The only reason you would not use this on your circuit is for BiPAP, but we'll jump into that in a minute.
Okay.
So this will always connect to like the HME or the trach collar or straight to the ET tube. If this doesn't work, we have these simple little 15mm adapters. I'm sure you've hit the RTs up to that already.
See them all the time in the little...
So all it does is get you to the
Yep.
diameter size.
Okay.
So we'll just jump into just simple AC and SIMV mode,
Okay.
then we'll play with BiPAP a bit later. So you're gonna push the power button in the right corner. Your charging button will be on here. It doesn't go orange, it's always green.
Okay.
So anytime it's plugged in, if it's green, it's charging. And then once you do plug it in, there should be a little battery sign on here that shows that it's charging. So we're just gonna reset this. To get into the settings, we're gonna go up on the menu. We're gonna go down to primary settings and alarms.
Okay.
And we're gonna push select, and that's gonna jump us into here. So to get to mode, right now we're on ST mode, which is BiPAP, but we'll jump in that in a minute. So right now we'll switch it over to AC mode, something that we're a lot more familiar with.
Okay.
So you have AC, you have SIMV, you have CPAP, and then BiPAP is ST.
Okay.
The S gives you just the IPAP without the EPAP. The ST gives you the IPAP, the EPAP, and the rate. Above that, we also have pressure control SIMV. There's no PRVC on this machine, so you have to use AC mode.
Right, which is kind of...
Yeah, but out of all of them, that's good. So there's AC, we'll push OK there. So it's still on BiPAP because that's up there, it's telling us what it's on. To modify the volume, we'll crank it up to 500. 500, we'll lock it in there. We'll just adjust the breath rate to 14, we'll push OK. And your PEEP is at 5.
Do we really care to move the inspire time and flow pattern and things like that?
Not too often,
Okay.
but if it's already set on the ventilator that you're picking up from, I would.
Okay.
Copy and paste, but the I time typically is around 1 and 1.5. To lock all this in, finally to switch it over, you can push finish. It's going to ask you to activate.
Yes.
That's going to be yes, and then you have AC mode will pop up to here, and now we're in AC mode.
And we're just running in AC mode. And there
We're
goes.
just AC mode.
And then again, to adjust oxygen levels, it's
Oxygen
strictly
is
on my little dial.
solely bled in by the regulator from the
Right.
D tank.
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing in here that you program to say how much is going into the
All
patient.
right, perfect.
So back to BiPAP mode is going to be
ST, right?
ST mode.
Okay.
We're going to hit that. We'll hit like let's do 12/5,
Okay,
very common one.
right,
And then below that will be your breath rate, so we'll set that at like 18.
okay.
Okay, and then below that is just gonna be all alarms and stuff of that nature
Right.
you'll have to play with and what works for you.
Right. Ramps are usually off. You don't need that ramp up time.
Right.
Okay.
So to lock that all in again, you're gonna push finish. It's gonna say you wanna activate, push yes, and ST mode pops up there and you're rocking and rolling.
Okay.
So ST mode, the one thing you do have to inspect is if the BiPAP mask has a blow-off valve, an exhaust valve.
Right.
So if it does have that, then there's no need for a double exhaust valve.
Copy.
If it's just very rarely you'll find a BiPAP mask that doesn't have the exhaust valve, then we would use that.
Okay.
Again, this will just connect right onto the trunk of the BiPAP mask.
I've noticed the BiPAP mask, like in the Valley Net, the oxygen line taps into the mask usually somewhere.
Correct, that's another option. So on the, I would say low FiO2, you can use this function of bleeding in the back of the machine
Okay.
and leave it as is and just let it get through the machine.
Okay.
Majority of all the BiPAP patients that I've moved, this works perfectly fine. If you have something like 50% or higher and you have a low or short transport time, you have another adapter that you can bleed the oxygen directly at the airway.
Okay.
And this little adapter plugs onto
And
there.
it lets me trap the oxygen right here.
Yep, and there's a little nipple. You just connect
There's a
it
lot
from
of
there.
times on trach, they're at night they're in trach with their BiPAP setting.
Right.
Okay.
So you can hook up and bleed right into the airway right there.
Okay.
Very rarely have I ever had to use this.
Okay.
Majority of the time, it's just the blue tubing and that's it.
Okay. How much of the time are you moving BiPAP mask versus trach to BiPAP? I mean, like a lot.
To be honest with you, I haven't even run across BiPAP with trach.
Okay.
Typically, they'll be on SIMV or
Right.
PRVC
Which is
or
what we
even
can switch them
CPAP.
to.
You know, CPAP.
But I found with Kaiser, a lot of times you walk in and they're on a BiPAP mask.
Yeah.
And we're trying to use the HC50 as a pressure thing and try to get it to work, and that's where we run into problems.
Right.
I'm going to freeze this.